Have you ever felt sudden heaviness in your home? Arguments without reason, sleepless nights, or a strange sense of unease? Many people ignore these silent signs until they turn into real problems. Scholars like Mufti Menk often remind us that Islam teaches protection, not just through dua, but also through practical steps. One of the simplest, yet most overlooked methods is using something you already have in your kitchen: salt. But not anywhere. There are 6 specific spots in your home that, when treated with intention and awareness, can become powerful shields against unseen harm. This isn't superstition. It's about using clean means while placing full reliance on Allah, the ultimate protector. In this video, I will show you exactly where to place salt and how to do it correctly, without falling into exaggeration or cultural myths. Let's begin purifying your home, step by step. 1. Introduction to salt as a protective element. Salt has long been recognized across various cultures as a purifier. But in Islam, its value extends beyond taste and preservation. While there is no direct command in the Quran or Hadith instructing believers to use salt for protection, scholars often remind us that Islam encourages taking worldly precautions alongside spiritual measures. Just as the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, advised us to tie our camel before placing trust in Allah, using clean and natural elements like salt can be seen as part of those practical efforts. Unlike objects used for superstition or amulets rooted in doubtful practices, salt remains a simple creation of Allah, pure, accessible, and free from controversy when used with the right belief. Many scholars highlight that negativity, whether physical or spiritual, often thrives in neglected spaces. Since salt is known to absorb impurities and cleanse its surroundings, placing it intentionally in certain areas of the home can serve as a symbolic act of purification. However, its effectiveness is not in the salt itself, but in the believer's tawakkul, reliance on Allah. When accompanied with remembrance of Allah and recitation of protective verses, such practices become meaningful steps towards safeguarding the home from unseen harm. 2. The correct intention, niyyah. When adopting any protective measure within the home, the most important principle in Islam is intention. A simple act can become an act of worship if the heart is aligned with sincerity toward Allah. Placing salt or taking any physical precaution is not about believing the object itself holds supernatural power. Rather, it must be understood as merely a tool, one that functions only by the will and permission of Allah. The moment a person starts relying on material things alone, they unknowingly fall into spiritual weakness and, in extreme cases, shirk associating partners with Allah if they believe something else independently protects them. True faith lies in combining asbab means with tawakkul trust. A believer should say, "I am doing this seeking Allah's protection," and follow it with remembrance, such as Bismillah or Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. This mindset transforms a mundane habit into an act of ibadah. Even if someone notices positive changes after applying such precautions, they must attribute all relief and safety to Allah alone. Protection is granted not because of what we place around us, but because our hearts remain connected to the ultimate protector, Al-Hafiz, the one who guards all things. 3. The 6 sacred spots to place. Salt. When deciding where to place salt in the home, one should focus on locations that commonly experience movement, emotional exchanges, or shifts in energy. The main entrance is the first shield of protection, as everything, seen or unseen, passes through it. Placing salt discreetly near or beside the doorway acts as a symbolic barrier against any form of negativity attempting to enter. The corners of the living room are equally significant. Corners are often stagnant areas where dust and unnoticed clutter accumulate, and spiritually, such neglected spaces are believed to attract unwanted presences. By placing small amounts of salt in each corner, you are actively renewing the space and discouraging any buildup of negative influence. Windows, though sources of light, are also gateways through which both blessings and disturbances flow. Keeping salt near them serves as a gentle reminder of protecting one's blessings. The bedside area is another crucial spot, as sleep is a vulnerable state where distressing dreams or discomfort may occur. Likewise, the kitchen holds great importance since it represents sustenance and provision. Finally, placing salt near bathroom entrances helps prevent impurity from affecting the spiritual atmosphere of the home. Together, these 6 spots create a comprehensive shield across your living space. 4. How to place the salt. When placing salt in the home, presentation and cleanliness matter just as much as intention. Instead of scattering it loosely, which may create mess or attract insects, it's better to use small, neat containers, fabric pouches, or even covered bowls. Each spot can have its own designated container, kept out of sight, but easily accessible for maintenance. Before positioning the salt, ensure the area is physically clean, as spiritual protection begins with physical hygiene. While placing it, one may quietly recite Bismillah or any verse they are comfortable with, such as Ayatul Kursi or La Hawla wa la Quwwata illa Billah. However, this should be done calmly and respectfully, without turning it into a ritualistic chant or exaggerated performance. Simplicity is key. Over time, the salt may absorb dust or moisture. It's advisable to replace it monthly or whenever it appears clumped or discolored. When discarding the old salt, it should not be thrown carelessly. Wrap it in a bag before disposing of it, or dissolve it in flowing water if convenient. This maintains respect for the act and ensures the home remains spiritually and physically refreshed. Consistency in care enhances its purpose and keeps the environment uplifted. 5. Advising against superstition. One of the greatest dangers when practicing any protective step is falling into superstition. Islam strictly teaches that nothing in creation has independent power besides Allah. Salt or any other natural element cannot ward off harm on its own. If a person begins to believe that the mere presence of salt guarantees safety, then they risk drifting into false reliance. This weakens the heart's connection with Allah and replaces faith with baseless fears or rituals. Superstition often grows when people start inventing rules or adding conditions that the Prophet ﷺ never taught. For example, insisting on a certain day, hour, or complicated sequence of words when placing salt has no basis in Islam. Such practices may mirror cultural traditions that conflict with pure Tawheed. Instead, believers should keep their actions simple, free of exaggeration, and always grounded in remembrance of Allah. It is also important not to attribute misfortunes, like illness, arguments, or financial struggles, to the lack of salt in a home. Tests are part of life, and protection ultimately comes only through sincere prayer, Quran recitation, and righteous deeds. Salt should be viewed as a supportive means, not a decisive factor. In this way, one stays safe from superstition and close to the true protector. 6. Recitation and spiritual reinforcement. Physical precautions may create a protective environment, but true strength comes from the remembrance of Allah. No object, placement, or action can shield the home unless it is supported by consistent dhikr and recitation. Islamic tradition strongly emphasizes Surah Al-Baqarah, as the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught that shaitan flees from a house in which it is recited. Even if one cannot recite the entire surah daily, playing a verified audio recitation regularly helps maintain a spiritually active atmosphere. Before sleeping, reciting Ayatul Kursi, the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, and the 3 Quls, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, and An-Nas, offers powerful spiritual protection not only for the individual, but also for the entire household. Blowing gently into the palms after reciting and wiping over the body is a sunnah form of safeguarding oneself. For the home specifically, walking through the rooms while reciting La ilaha illallah or Allahu Akbar brings tranquility and reminds every corner of Allah's presence. Some families also designate a daily or weekly time for collective dua, where each member asks Allah to cleanse the space from envy, evil eye, and jinn disturbances. Moreover, good character within the home acts as a shield stronger than any physical measure. Arguments, backbiting, and foul speech attract spiritual harm, while kindness and gratitude increase barakah. Thus, the best protection comes from combining mindful recitation, ethical behavior, and clean living. When Allah's words echo through the walls, no darkness can settle within them. And that's how you can use something as simple as salt to renew the atmosphere of your home, physically and spiritually. But remember, protection comes only from Allah. These steps are just means. True safety lies in sincere faith and consistent remembrance. If you found this video beneficial, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Intellect Deen for more powerful Islamic reminders. Your support helps us spread goodness to more homes. Before you leave, drop this prayer in the comments. May Allah protect my home and fill it with peace and barakah. Ameen. See you in the next video.